All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Shem Shai, by Shem Chakodash, and give a double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishops for Great Millstone World. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shem Mafis, Mapa for the Great Millstone Plaintables Camp of Philadelphia. Coming with some more current events. Army General says Marines may temporarily detain protesters in LA. Okay, you have it here. Published Thursday, June the 12th, 2025. Hopeful year of our deliverance and the destruction and judgment of Esau, Edom. These times are action-packed. Now, you have it. The protesters, the ICE protests that have been happening out in Los Angeles and Babylon the Great, over there in the west. Los Angeles, City of Angels, and California, the state. You had Donald Trump go above the actual governor there and deploy National Guard troops. You have it. The 704,000 National Guard troops ordered to Los Angeles by Donald Trump. That's an executive order, man. In response to protests over immigration enforcement operation lacked the authority to arrest protesters, but may temporarily detain them if necessary. So they telling you that they lack the authority to arrest them, but they can detain you, right? But of course, these individuals, they don't really see. These people with batons, they got riot gear on. I mean, the Marines, they actually have fully in those National Guard. They got, automatic guns. Okay, equipped for anything that you have. Okay, so you gotta watch out. Outside in general, even if you aren't even part of these different protests, which we don't condone Israelites being a part of these protests. We would say to stay far away from them because they're actually a form of evil. Okay, so as we see a lot of these events go on, we gotta be wise. That's while we're in this truth. This is let me see if I gotta get it. Appearance. So this is in the book of 1 Thessalonians 5 and 22. It tells you straight out. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Evil. Going into the bad times, man. Perils. Things just breaking. Hardship and harassment. And also it says to abstain. So abstain goes into to hold one off or refrain. Okay, you don't want to be actually welcoming evil, in these times, because there's enough evil already. As each day has enough evil sufficient in itself. Okay, so we don't want to add extra trouble on ourselves. But these various troops, they're trained for war. and they're trained. If you, of course, are trying to bring harm and destruction, they can, of course, go on their power to use the sword. Okay? And that's what they don't understand. Like, it's not about arresting you protesters. It's about really, bringing complete judgment on them. Okay? Because Esau is against Jacob and pursues Jacob with blood. So this is going to be Ezekiel the 9th chapter, and it tells you, says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the city, go to the midst of the city, and through the midst of Jerusalem, with the Israelites, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all abominations done there in the midst of it thereof. And the mark would, of course, be an exemption, okay, of the Y from the coming judgment, okay? When people are getting judged, you're being delivered. It says, and to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. So, this is a program from an angel. Okay, that's going to execute the vengeance of the Lord. It says, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary, which are the Israelites. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. Alright, you leaders of Israelite camps and such. Okay, if you don't have that mark that is of exemption, that's a Y, you will be caught out here. So he says, strictly for the protection of the federal personnel and the protection of federal buildings, they're allowed to temporarily detain and wait for law enforcement to come arrest them. Alright, that's what they're telling you. Alright. That's Major Jen Scott Sherman said on the troops. Said they do not do any arrests. They are strictly there to detain and wait for law enforcement to come and handle those demonstrators. The Marines are trained to use their weapons for personal protection. Okay, so you violate these guys, which, hey, that's not something you want to do. Hey, they will use their weapons for personal protection, but their rifles will not be loaded with live ammunition during the deployment, says Sherman, who is leading the deployment of the troops. Not in their rifle, no. He said when asked whether rifles would carry live ammunition. The Marines are undergoing civil disturbance training and the standing rules of the force training for 2 days. Sherman said the Marines will not be deployed to the streets of Los Angeles on Wednesday, but they will be there soon, he added. In a statement issued Wednesday, the U.S. Northern Command, or NORTHCOM, confirmed that Marines will conduct the same missions currently being performed by the National Guardsmen under Title 10 status. Alright, they can have the company Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency on a mission, but they are not part of the operations, NORTHCOM said. Alright. So it's a lot of stuff going on, man. You got it. That is according to the Northern Command, Approximately 280 service members have been deployed to gather Los Angeles area as of Wednesday. Trump said the military deployment in Los Angeles prevented violence, which is including by protesters throwing projectiles at officers from raging out of control, and assertion of the governor Gavin Newsom, other local officials have said was untrue. Okay, but it says Newsom and California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed an emergency motion in court Tuesday seeking the block of the federal government deploying troops, arguing that the missions order soldiers to engage in unlawful citizen law enforcement activities and community across the region beyond just guarding federal buildings. Alright? They tell you what we really do. Okay? But even going to this, it says protecting personality or personnel. I'll read this other one. It says Bonita said, or Bonta said on Tuesday that allowing federal troops to protect ICE personnel could also violate 1878 law that generally forbids the U.S. military, including the National Guard, from taking part in civilian law enforcement. But as you see, man, all sorts of violations of upholding, various constitutional rights is going on, and we're moving into that straight up draconian measure in martial law. All right, so protections like personnel likely means accompany ICE agents to communities and neighborhoods, and protection functions could mean protecting the ICE function and enforcing immigration law. The protests continue to spread in Los Angeles to other cities in the United States, with hundreds of the nationwide demonstration planned for Saturday. So, we got to watch out, us in these major cities, especially here in Philadelphia. As they said, protests have been held in Philadelphia. All right. San Fran, Seattle, Denver, Dallas, Boston, New York, Atlanta, and Chicago. In Austin, Texas, police fired tear gas and pepper balls in a standoff with demonstrators. All right, so there's a lot of things going on, man, and we just gotta be circumspect, man. But these days are evil, so we're just covering that through the spirit for now. The scriptures say, Romans chapter 13 and 4. For he is the minister. You can start a bit above. It says, this is Romans 13 and 1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. For there is no power but the Most High, and the powers that are ordained of God. Power. Whosoever therefore resisted the power, Esau, resisted the ordinance of power, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For the rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of the Yahweh Bashem Shai for thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of Yahweh Bashem Shai, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So Esau is a servant being used on the left hand by the Lord. you know, and he bears not the sword in vain. Okay, so don't think that he's meaningless walking around with guns and stuff like it's another drill. There's things that is actually going on, and that they're gonna ramp up with their draconian measures. So that's the lesson of the spirit. Shalom to you, like.